A lot of people today are very judgy, all right, especially young men who might feel stuck and they might be procrastinating a lot about their life, and they tend to blame everything and everyone around them. And I think that's a very dangerous thing to do. And these guys are looking outward. They're not necessarily looking inward. And I think they identify a lot as a victim to the world and to people around them. And I think the right guys who just heard what I said are going to quietly reflect a little bit and hopefully make some positive changes. Now, the wrong guys who just heard what I said are probably going to get pissed that I said it. And that's the whole point. Today's episode, we're going to talk about judgment. And we're going to talk about faith, and we're going to talk about the things that guys typically do not want to talk about. And we're going to talk about those thoughts and those feelings that we think are so unique to us, yet my guest today and I are going to dive into those thoughts and into those feelings. Because all the guys who are listening, we want to feel significant, right? We want to feel seen, we want to feel heard, and we want to know that we are not alone with those thoughts and with those feelings. Now, before we get into today's episode, I need to highlight my favorite product of 2025, which is Black Rifle Coffee Company, all right? On Monday of this week, I bought Tactus Squatch. All right, that's what it's called. This is a dark blend and absolutely delicious. And I read on the back here, Black Rifle Coffee Company serves coffee and culture to people who love America. If you love America, then you should be purchasing this product, all right? It has a freaking Sasquatch on the front of the product, and it looks like he is wearing a night vision headgear, like tactical headgear, which is so cool, all right? I love looking at that guy each morning. All right, so check them out, Black Rifle Coffee Company. I will link them in the description of this episode. So on today's episode, we will be interviewing a guy who is solely responsible for helping me develop a better relationship with God over the last year. This man actually baptized me a couple months ago, and I felt like a little fetus in his arms.
You were.
I felt so safe. I felt so good. And that was something I was actually kind of nervous about, and he made me feel very calm and very relaxed. This guy is willing to talk about the hard things. He's willing to be vulnerable. And if you ever see two gentlemen at the Hyde Park fountain every couple of weeks, that is my guest and me broing down and talking about real things. And I think if we had more guys in the world like today's guest, our world would be a happier and more hopeful world. And so without further ado, I would like to welcome Sam Kiefer to the show.
Dude, I'm so glad to be here, man. Thanks, man.
Dude, you're welcome, man. Thank you so much.
Not that it matters, but on the side of your Black Rifle bag, it says a portion of our profits go to, I can't read it because you moved it.
A portion of our profits go to veteran, law enforcement, fire, and first responder causes.
Oh, you know, come on.
Come on, guys.
Right?
Go buy their stuff.
Seriously.
Right? Let's support all that, right?
Seriously.
That's important, Dan.
Yeah.
Thank you for highlighting that.
Dude,
all right?
yeah, dude.
That's huge.
I got you.
All right, Sam. So we got a lot to talk about
do.
today, man. I wrote down faith. I wrote down judgment, guys.
Man.
I want you to first walk me through how you became the man that I'm looking at right now.
Oh, dude, how I became the man you're looking at. Man, I don't know. My parents are awesome. I was homeschooled my whole life, which I don't talk about much. Not that I'm hiding it, but I just me and my siblings, we were all homeschooled, and we're all pretty gregarious people. Due to my dad, he's a pastor full time, and my parents just love church, love the Lord, love their kids, and they love people. And they were like, "You're not going to be that awkward homeschooled kid." You know, which is fine and great. I don't want to be that kid. And the greatest compliment a homeschooled kid can get is shock from others that they were homeschooled. You know, but I just love people, and I owe that to my parents. People are great. People are great. I'm pretty introverted, so it's people are exhausting. But
people are great and people are exhausting.
They can be both.
What a conflicting type of perception there.
But dude, I just love hanging out, and I love to be, who doesn't love to be seen and heard and accepted? And so I love to help hopefully people feel the same way. Does that make sense?
That was exactly the feeling I got when I had first met you.
Dude, come on.
And so I think you're doing a really good job of that. So don't change anything. I've explained this story. I don't know if I've ever publicly explained the story, but my faith journey over the last year literally just started with me emailing 10 churches in the South Tampa area. And I think when I emailed your email, it exposed like you guys had to fix something within the email system. And so you then just DM'd me, and I was like, oh, this guy looks like a cool dude. Like, he doesn't look like some guy wearing a robe who's just gonna throw a cross at me, right? Like, I needed some normalcy when it came to getting closer with God.
Sure.
And then I remember you were like, dude, just come down Sunday. Like, I'll show you the church. I'll show you how it goes. And it felt like we had known each other for 10 plus years when I first met you.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, this kid's awesome. This guy's awesome. Like, this whole church thing seems way cooler than I think a lot of the stereotypes, which is something I do kind of want to talk about a little bit.
Of course.
So when you talk about people, right, what is it that lights you up about people?
Dude, have you ever heard it's not like a concept, it's a real thing, Sonder?
Sonder?
Sonder. It's a new word I learned like maybe 6 months ago from my buddy Michael.
Sounds pretty
We were
smart.
at a Rockies game in Colorado. And I was like, man, look at all these people doing that whole thing. Like, man, all like their own like complexities and like they're experiencing life as like vividly as I do, and individualism and all that. And he was like, oh, I just learned it's called Sonder. I'm like, Sonder? And he's like, yeah, Sonder. And it's just like the thought of like that every person is their own person and like live their own lives and have their own identity and their own like joys and dismays and troubles and sadnesses and celebrations. And it's like I like view my life through literally my eyes, and you view the same thing. And the way that I'm looking at you and your entire body, you're looking at me and my entire body. And it's like crazy. And so with that fact, it's like, man, like everybody in this room is like like a whole person with their own, they have bills to pay, they have stresses, you know what I mean? Girl problems, boy problems, whatever it might be. And it's like that, I love it. 'Cause I know how much like I long for community and friendships. And again, like I said, to be seen and to be heard and to be appreciated and respected. And so I want others to feel that way, because it takes no time to just get like written off by anybody. It's so easy. Like the whole it takes forever to build up trust, but it takes a second to like crush that. Same thing. Like a relationship, it takes a long time to build that up, but it takes no time to absolutely destroy somebody. And I don't want to be, a guy who destroys someone. I do. If I'm playing like Call of Duty and I'm going crazy, I'll lay down on the mic. I'll be honest, but like face to face,
I want to destroy you. I want to absolutely remove you from this earth.
No, but like face to face, I don't want you to feel that, know, and we didn't know our emails had problems in the office until you DM me on Instagram. It was like a request. Like, hey, I'm DJ. I emailed you. It bounced back. And I was like, oh, snap. And it took like 2 weeks, literally, for us to get those emails figured out.
Well, I'm glad that, we exposed something that we needed to
I'm glad
change,
you reached out.
Right? And I think what you just walked through, too, is so important with one of the things that I wanted to talk about today, which was judgment. And I think, I mean, I know I want to talk about the Adulterous Woman, all right? Because I remember when you had initially told me that story, I was like, man, that is such an important thing to remember.
Yeah.
And ironically, when you had first told me about the Adulterous Woman in that story, my father actually, for some reason, I think I went home like a couple days later it might have been like Christmas, and my father brought up that story. He's like, have you ever heard of the Adulterous Woman? I was like, actually, I have.
Sam
just taught me about it. And so he kind of was walking me through it as well. And so I wanted to hit on that a little bit. And I think, too, when it comes to judgment, I want to try and be up to date with some current events, right? This Jake Paul picture.
Come on.
Right? And so if you guys haven't seen the Jake Paul picture, we're going to show it to you. We're not going to dive into it just yet. But there was so much judgment around this picture. And I think it ties so nicely into, hey, like everybody, the Sonder word, everybody has their own shit that they're dealing with.
Yeah.
And on the surface, it's my decision if I want to let that visually come to the surface, right? Like if I was sitting here and I was kind of bummed out, and you might be like, dude, just everything all right? I'm like, nah, dude, I'm kind of struggling with some stuff, right? And then I kind of dive into some of that. Now, a lot of times we create this facade that everything is good, right? And so let's say that we do take this perspective of, okay, everybody has some challenges in their lives. What happens? How does the way you interact with them change?
With challenges?
Yeah.
Man, one thing I heard from a college professor of mine and a mentor is I can't remember exactly what was going on, but there was somebody in like my circle that I was like heavily beefing with. Heavily is probably extreme term, but we were beefing, and we were like 19, 20, and so it was probably nothing, but at the moment it was like, dude,
I want everything.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And
Call of Duty anger, right?
Yeah, we're playing Call of Duty. I was letting loose in the mic. Yeah. We were beefing, and I was talking to my mentor, his name is Michael, talking to him about it, and he shared with me that basically, like, regardless of if you think what this person is going through is reasonable or fair or just or whatever, that doesn't matter because this person still feels the way that they feel. And so when like you have challenges, I could in your challenge, you could bring up, oh, I'm struggling with this. And I could be like, why? Why is that a struggle for you? That's not a big deal. Let it go and move on. I could say that, but that's not really helpful, you know? And also and more importantly, like it might not be a big deal to me, but for you it is a big deal, and you're working through that, and you're like it's taking an emotional tax on you, or maybe a physical tax on you, and you're exhausted, you're not sleeping, and it's like it might be small in the grand scheme, but in the moment it matters to you. And so I need to meet like you where you're at in that challenge of like, I might think you're being a big old baby, but for you this is like real crap you're going through. And so like I want to meet you there because you know, you feel the way you feel, you know? And it's like, no one wants to be like, man, I'm really struggling, like, you know, with this. Or I just told you about that quote from like, oh, can I be vulnerable in your car? And it's like, I share something and then everybody just like craps on it or like makes fun of it. And it's like, well, that was my, like, kind of like just fellas in general, we get like we take an opportunity to be vulnerable or honest and we share and then we get cooked for it. And it's like, now we're never going to share again. And sure, it might have been dumb and it might have been small, but for us, it felt like something. And just, I guess, creating a space when addressing somebody with challenges or trying to help somebody through challenges of like, just create a space where they can be honest, they can be vulnerable, and they don't feel like judged, obviously, but they don't feel like ostracized or belittled or dismissed is a big one. I think along with judgment, I think fellas, really anybody, it doesn't take much to feel dismissed by somebody or like unheard, if you will. And so just providing a space where you can feel heard, seen, loved, appreciated, respected, whether or not it is actually valid or reasonable or whatever. It's like, I just want, if I'm sharing my challenges, more than anything, like for me personally, if I'm sharing like something I'm working through or struggling through, I would love, like a way to solve my problem or like any kind of help or whatever. But also it's like more than anything, maybe in the moment, I just want to be heard and just be like, hey man, I hear you and I'm sorry you're going through that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it makes me think about once bitten, twice shy, where if I do decide to let you really see into my life and it isn't accepted the way that I want it to be accepted in the essence of I feel safe after I've said it, then it's like, oh my gosh, I never want to do that again.
Sure.
Right? That makes me totally feel weak. And I'm taking a persuasion and influence course right now. And they said that one of the biggest strategies to positive influence is empathy. And meeting people where they are, understanding what their fears are, what their desires are, what is keeping them up at night, what do they really want, like beneath the surface level thing.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that empathy is like this superpower, especially for dudes.
Sure.
Right? You get an empathetic guy who is like, hey, I'm here, dude. Like, talk to me, right? Like, let's solve this, right? Like, let it all out. You create such a space of safety for anybody, right? Whether you're talking to a woman or talking to a guy, whatever, because it allows that other person to be like, oh my gosh, I don't have to have all the answers right now. And that feels really good. And do you have any moments of your life where you took that step into vulnerability and it was received?
Yeah. It's funny you ask that question. Literally, last Wednesday, so not even a week ago,
Yeah.
I was in Dade City, like an hour north of us, and I was talking to a guy. His name is Greg, and he is I think he's 22. He's young. He like just started his first like youth pastor gig, and I was in his office and we were just chatting, and he was like, "Hey, can I ask you a question?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he asked this like very long question, and I kind of understood, and I was kind of answering it in bits and pieces. And eventually, I was like, "Does that answer your question?" And he was like, "I think so." And then I just straight up asked him, like, "Hey, like, what are you asking me? Like, what do you need to hear from me?" I said, "Just ask it plain. It's fine. I'm not worried about it." And then he goes, "Okay." And he sits and he's like, I guess like plainly, he goes, "Are you okay?"
He asked you that.
He asked me that. And I go, you know, yeah. And he's like, "Are you?" I was like, "I mean, yes." And he's like, what have you been going through?" And I was like, "I don't know." I said, like, I guess if anything, I just unpacked how like I'm in this. So I'm 25, almost 26.
Health insurance coming real soon.
I'm already paying. This sucks. I just literally like it's like what, January. So I just paid my first like health insurance bill, and I was just like,
It's not that, yeah.
I don't know. I was
It's
like,
annoying.
if I could just be my parents forever, it'd be amazing. But I'm not. So, I'm 25, and I know in the grand scheme, it's not that big of a deal. But the past 6 months have been like weird, and I didn't know what was going on. And I was like, am I like facing my own mortality right now? And I was talking to my mom, and at some point she said to me that, she's like, maybe you're facing a quarter life crisis. And I was like, oh, snap, I really am. And so I shared with Greg, I was like, the past few months, I've really recognized my mortality, and I'm like a quarter life crisis. And am I doing enough? Am I good enough? And like, I see friends who are like married, have kids, have this job, make this much money. And I'm like, I'm here and I'm not married. I don't have kids and blah, blah, blah. And not that I'm like ungrateful for where I'm at. I'm great. Love my life, love my family, love my girlfriend. Everything's great. But it's just like different stages of life. And I'm like, I'm 25. I should be more than I am. But I was reminded by a guy maybe a year ago, and he said to me, he was talking about unpacking something, and he said, I'm called to run my race. You're called to run yours. And I have had to like really remind myself of like, I know I'm like freaking out of like, I'm not making enough money, or I'm not mature enough, or I'm not doing this, or I don't have this, or whatever. But like, I'm called to run my own race, and like the Lord has me where I'm at because he wants me to be where I'm at right here in this moment. And I was sharing that with Greg of like, and I did not know, like I was in a room with a few people and they were all listening, and I was just like unpacking it, and Greg was listening, and I was like, I don't know where you're at, but I'm like, is this like it? And I'm way over analyzing, like, when you like love the Lord, especially if you're like in ministry or feel called to something by God, you like tend to like overthink every little thing. Like, am I in like his calling or whatever it might be? And I was telling Greg how I have to remind myself that like sometimes when God calls you to something, whether it's like ministry like me, or like for you, like your calling is to help like young men, right? And to be strong men, right? So it's like sometimes the Lord calls us to like specific things, but sometimes it's like when your mom or your dad is like, I don't care if you play in your bedroom or play outside in the backyard or play in the living room, just go play somewhere. That's kind of feel like how calling is. And I have to remind myself of like, I might feel like I'm in the wrong space, or I might feel like I'm behind, or I might feel like X, Y, and Z. None of those are like, it's not like extensive or anything, but I could feel anything, but I got to remember like the Lord has me here where he wants me, and wherever the Lord wants me, it's a good place to be. And I did unpack like that with him, and I was not ready. It was like a random Wednesday, and I was just like, I feel like I've wasted a quarter of my life. You know what I mean? But I haven't.
It's a heavy conversation.
You know what I mean? Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And I had no idea. And I was like, does that answer your question? He was like, yeah, thanks for talking. And I was like, dude, what about me? Do I get anything back? Nothing? Great. You know?
Yeah, there's some conversational generosity, I like to call it, right? Give me something back. So, all right, so how are you doing now with all of that?
Dude, I'm doing well.
Yeah?
It's the same. It's just like I love where I'm at. I love where I live. I love what I do. And when I look at and I think social media plays a big part of just like comparison. And I know that's like a broken record, but records get broken because they're played a lot, and this record is played a lot for very good reason. And it's like we see in social media, we see like somebody's like final product. We don't see the whole ramp up to that thing, and so we like judge their final product to our building of whatever it might be, and we think we're behind, or I'm like an idiot or whatever. But it's like, no, and that might not be their actual final product. It could be totally fraudulent, and they're just putting on that everything is great and good, but they're whatever behind on bills or in crazy debt or whatever it might be. And so I just have to remind myself, like, I've had to like take a step back from social media. That being said, I love TikTok. I love to doom scroll. So I gotta pick and choose.
I think there's a direct correlation between your happiness and your level of consumption of social media.
Oh, totally agree.
I would recommend to stay off social media as much as humanly possible. Keep your phone away from you as much. I think like bring back the Motorola Razr.
Dude, come on.
Right? Bring back the Jukes flip phones. Like, bring those back.
Nokia, dude. Right? Indestructible, dude.
Right? Like those things, you could throw those things off a building and they work better on the ground, right? Like I that's one of the things that I struggled with so much in my early 20s, and I've shared this a lot in one of our recent episodes, was social media and just comparing, right? Everything you see on social media, to your point, right? It's this final filtered product.
Correct.
And I didn't see the 99% of failures and self-doubt and judgment that this person went through to get to the six-pack.
Yeah. Yes.
To get to the beautiful girlfriend.
Yep.
To get to the new car, the job, the trip to Mount Vesuvius, right? Or the Adirondacks, whatever your vacation is. And you're like, wow, they did all of that, and I'm just seeing the tip of the iceberg. Right? And I don't even know if there was a process to get there. I don't know if maybe they had a ton of money laying around from their mom or their dad or somewhere else, and they just decided to let it rip. And now I'm creating this story that they're working really hard. They're financially budgeting so well. They're taking so much care of themselves.
Yeah.
And this is one of the things that when you were talking about, hey, this quarter-life crisis, you're creating a story, right? We're all creating stories about things. Is it a good story? Is it a bad story? What does it mean? Right? Tony Robbins talks about what are you focusing on? What does it mean? And what are you going to do? Right? And so when we start to create these stories, depending upon our experiences, depending upon our beliefs, depending upon what we value, what we think is right, wrong, our family, our environment, all of these different factors, we then create these stories. And this is, I think, a super important thing for any guy who's listening to this, or any parent or anybody, is if you are ever feeling tension or stress or anxiety in your life, ask yourself, what story am I telling myself? And why am I choosing to make it real? Because we can shift it into something else. And one of my most favorite stories of all time, or parables, I think it's a parable, or like little story, is the Chinese farmer. Chinese farmer, which I'm going to eventually do an episode on this, because I think it completely changed my life when I started to realize this understanding about how every event is essentially neutral until we give it a story.
Okay.
Is it good or is it bad? Right? Like, Sam, for example, you could say, hey, I'm 25 years old. I'm the head youth pastor at New Beginnings Christian Church, and we're doing great, right? We're growing our ministries, and I can say, man, that guy's got his life figured out. He's 25 years old, and he's already serving God. He's already a leader in his community. Holy cow. Then you can say, I think I'm going through a quarter-life crisis. Same event, just a different,
perceived differently,
completely different, right, perception. So I tell a lot of guys who are, right, let's say 18, 19 years old, they might have went to college, they flunked out after a semester, now they're at home, they don't know what to do with their lives, and they feel like they're this loser, feel like they're this failure, and they have all this evidence that they're looking at, hey, I went to college and didn't do this, I'm going on social media, and all my friends are doing these things, and now they create this story of loss, of failure, right? And so I always say, could this, like, what's a better story here? Right? What's a better story? Hey, I can do literally anything. And by the way, if you're 18, 19, 20 years old, I think Gary Vee talks a lot about this.
Dude, love that guy.
Right, Gary Vee.
Love that guy.
You could literally, like, mess up for, like, 10, 20, 30 more years. And he's like, and you're fine, right? I love the memes of people being like, I'm 25 years old. He's like, you haven't even started yet. I'm 35, 45, 55. And he's always saying you haven't even started yet. Right? And I think to your point, understanding about just how fragile life is and understanding that fine line. One of the things I've been very enamored with lately is the fragility of humans. And thinking about how long can we go without oxygen? Like, what, 4 or 5 minutes? And then we're, like, dead, basically. Like, your life can be over in 5 minutes.
Right? It could be over.
If I have a gun, bing, gone. Right, gone in a second.
Yeah.
Right, like, not to get grim, but I think
If you have a black rifle,
if I have a black rifle, shout out Black Rifle Coffee Company, all right? If I have a black rifle and shoot somebody in the head, like, boom, they're gone.
Yes.
Right? Like, that's how quickly life can be taken.
Uh-huh.
And I think we all have stories of people in our life, who have been in our life in 1 second, and then something happened, car accident, a drug overdose, right? Something horrible, and boom, then they're not here anymore.
Yeah, dude, I saw this, heard this story from a guy. I'm gonna botch it, but I'll get the point across. Basically, he shares that it's like, and I don't know if it's a real, true story or not. Doesn't matter. But let's say there are these guys who are fighting in like a world war, and they're on the ground and they're literally in the trenches and they're fighting, and their fellows are dropping left and right next to them. They're like, oh my gosh, this is it. Like, we're losing. This is terrible. They're scared to death. The enemy's pushing them really, really hard. There's nothing we can do. We're losing the war. We need to turn back. We need to run away. But then there's, on the same team, there's a guy flying, and he's flying a plane, dropping bombs, whatever, and he's looking, and he's circling the whole battlefield. He's looking down, and he sees, oh my gosh, we're winning. We're doing it. We're pushing them. This is happening. We're actually going to win this battle right now. And it's like, from the floor, yes, there's a lot happening. You feel pressed. You're scared to death. But like, the whole 30,000 foot view is no, like, down there, sure, it feels like we're losing, but up here with the whole scope, we're winning, you know. And it's like, same thing of like, same story, different point of views. Me, I'm, youth pastor, love my students, serving God is great. But also me, I'm having a quarter life crisis. And for you, it's like, oh, I'm good for Sam. But also me, I'm like, woe is me. You know what I mean? But it's the same story, just from two different vantage points. So.
I'm so happy we're talking about the story thing, because I think this can completely change people's lives. I was at a so I've had doubts or judgment, without a doubt, over the last year of my life as I'm growing, be that guy, and thinking to myself,
how do I get a shirt, by the way?
I'll get you.
Can I get one?
Yeah, I'm only giving it to the specific few. All right, Nico, we'll give one for Nico too. I
asked it on Eric, so now you're obligated to give me.
Yeah, on there. Yeah,
I've been saving it for a year and a half.
So one of the things, though, I think about this story thing is, yes, right, over the last year and a half or so of us growing, be that guy, it's been super stressful at times, right? Like, literally looking out my window, like, what the hell am I doing? Right? I don't think this is gonna work. Am I the right guy for this? Right? And I think a lot of my connection with God over the last year and a half or so has been, I need something bigger than myself to really have this pull motivation instead of this push motivation. And that was such a big change for me. And so one of the funny things was, I went home to one of my buddies' weddings, and it was cool to see all my buddies, right? We hadn't seen each other. We're all busting each other's chops. And one of my buddies comes up. He's like, dude, it looks like you are kicking ass right now. He's like, you're traveling. He's like, you're working with young men. He's like, you're living the life. He's like, you just moved to this new place in Tampa. He's like, you looks like you got a great place. And I was like, listening to his story, and I'm like, shit, all of that is true.
Okay.
Right? Like, none of what he said was wrong.
Yes.
And it gave me this evidence where I'm like, oh, maybe I'm doing better than my judgment. Right? And that's one of the things that I think is so, and which I think will lead nicely into the Adulterous Woman, right? Of like this judgment of others and this judgment of ourselves, this nasty thing of judgment. When how can we adopt more of a discernment perspective of, hey, it's neutral. I don't know if it's good or bad. Right? It's just an event. It's just a thing. And I think when he said that to me, it gave me all of this different perspective of looking at my life. And I was like, that's a way better story. It's like, I am kicking ass, dude.
Come on.
Right? I was like, yeah, dude, like, actually, now that I'm hearing you say that, that is all actually true. Like, yeah, we're actually doing pretty good. Yet I also think we tend to notice, because the way our brains are wired, we notice the threats. Right? We notice the things that are going to be danger to our survival. Right? Oh, they didn't sign up. Oh, that post didn't do well. Right? We notice the negatives instead of the overarching 30,000 foot view of the good things.
Like, the Bucks are terrible right now, right? I don't really watch football, but I know they're terrible. You know, they started strong. It looked good for a second, but it didn't end well, right? But we see that, like, oh, they didn't make playoffs, they didn't make Super Bowl, they lost X amount of games, but we forget they still won 8 games, whatever it was. You know what I mean? Which, again, in the grand scheme of this season, It's not awesome, right? But they still won some games.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if you put me on that field, I'm not winning an NFL game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or it's like we were watching, it was the other day at my dad's birthday party. We were sitting on the couch and some game was on. I don't know who was playing. But I was like, that guy's trash. How do you're making millions of dollars, you missed that? But then like, dude, put that ball in my hands. I'm not going to know what to do with it.
Dude,
you know what I mean?
It's so funny you say that. That boils my blood a little bit because we have like, I know people, and you might be a prime example of this, who like talk so much shit about like football guys. I'm like, dude, you guys have no idea how freaking hard it is to be a quarterback, a running back, linebacker, lineman, secondary, like receiver. Like, just stay in your lane, guys. Like, that's what I don't, dude. Like, I see you preaching, being like a youth pastor at New Beginnings, and I am just like, oh man, like he could do so much better. It's like, no way, dude. I have no frame of judgment, right, to do that, right? Like I have no right to do that. And I think so. I want to talk about the Adulterous Woman.
I took notes.
Yeah. Take your notes out because I think it's so as I was mentioning earlier, right? Sam and I go on our bro dates every couple of weeks to
it's very romantic.
Yeah, it's very romantic.
Yeah.
Hyde Park Fountain, and
shout out
Hyde Park Fountain. That's
Buddy
our place.
Brew.
And Buddy
And
Brew.
avocado toast.
Yeah. And so we talk about sometimes religious things, sometimes just vulnerable things, right? We cover a lot of different aspects. And last time, right, I think we were talking about the Adulterous Woman, right? So kind of give a story of the Adulterous Woman and kind of a little bit of a breakdown of it.
Dude, the long story short of the Adulterous Woman, man, I love the story of the Adulterous Woman. She basically, it's this lady who allegedly, just kidding. She's basically caught in the act of being like adulterous, and these like leaders of the law, like the Pharisees, Sadducees, for our like purposes, just like a priest, who, quite frankly, should know better, and that's the point that I think Jesus is getting across. But that doesn't matter. But they like literally grab her out of the act of being adulterous, and they throw her in the middle of like a street in front of all these people, and Jesus is there, and all of Jesus' fellas. And they're like, look at her. The law of Moses says that, you know, what she's doing, she could be stoned to death for. Like, what do you say? And then Jesus doesn't say anything. He bends down on a knee and he starts like writing in the sand. No one knows at all what he writes in the sand. He could have written out the law of Moses. He could have written out the ABCs. He could have drawn a stick figure. Who knows? He could have done whatever, but he was just writing inside the sand, and he stands up and he looks at these guys in the face. As this woman who is like butt naked laying on the ground in front of all these people in the middle of a very popular street, she's like looking up at Christ, and he looks at these like religious leaders, and he says like, hey, if anybody has never sinned, you can throw the first stone. And that's all he says. And they all just kind of like look, and no one does a thing. And then it says one by one, people just like scatter. They just walk away. And it says Jesus like helps her up, and he's like, hey, like, they don't condemn you. Like, I don't condemn you. Lord doesn't condemn you. And he's like, go and sin no more. And that story is awesome. I love it because, one, these Pharisees bring up the law of Moses, and Jesus doesn't really like go against the law. He's just like, all right, law says, but like if you haven't sinned before, which would make you righteous enough to do this, go ahead and throw a stone at her. Go ahead. And I love that for one, because it calls out everybody else of like, hey, like, yes, her sin is different than yours, but that does not make her sin worse than yours or yours worse than hers. But you're just sinful as she is. It might look different. And so shut your mouth. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. One. Two, the only person in that whole crowd that could have thrown a stone justifiably was Jesus, and he didn't. Mm-hmm. All he did was, like, he helped her up. He said, like, hey, you're good. Stop what you're doing. Mm-hmm. You know it's wrong. Mm-hmm. Go to your husband. Stop. Sin no more. Go. Be gone. And then she walks away. And there's the grace, like grace and truth of like, he is gracious with her, but he's also honest with her of like, hey, you know what you're doing is not okay. So stop it. It's that simple. Stop it. I love you. So stop it. Not stop it so I love you. You know what I mean? I love you. So now you have the freedom in my love to stop what you're doing. Mm-hmm. You know, and that goes with any judgment of like anything I wrote down. I want to make sure I say it right. Not to like, you know, I said Christianity isn't about God tolerating you if you behave. It's God loving you before you behave. Jesus didn't come to make bad people good. He came to make bad people alive. And so it's not that we do well enough for the Lord. And it's also like he's not just tolerating us because Jesus like died on the cross for us and resurrected and all that. But it's just like he loves us regardless of us living for him or like him or whatever. And instead of like, the question is like, do we like do like, good deeds get us into heaven, and doing good like that. If we do good enough here, then we'll be great. It's like, it's not even that, because it puts pressure on us, and Jesus doesn't put pressure on us. He just says like, I love you. And so just receive my love and we'll call it square. You know what I mean? Because of what I did, not because of what you're doing, because what you're doing isn't enough. But what I did is more than enough. And because I'm more than enough, let me just love you and accept you. And that will be enough for you to live. Like, yes, like sure, like heaven and all that, but like just like a good, like a whole life here, like on earth. Not because I think we just like in church, we think of like heaven and hell, and like when we die, that's when it all matters. It's like, no, it can matter now of like, follow Christ, and your life like will be better because he loves you, and you can live in freedom. And like, judgment just adds like weight to you. Being judged is weight. Like faith in the Lord like removes that weight, or should remove that weight at least,
Do you guys see why I like to listen to Sam now?
Stop it.
Right? This is like, just having you walk me through that, I think is refreshing. I think it makes me feel like universal love. Like no matter what, God loves you. And yes, we're going to do things that are sinful. We're humans. Right? We have flaws.
He made us, he knows,
right? We have flaws and insecurities and all of those things.
You're that bad boy, bro.
Right. And one of the things that came to my mind when you were sharing that story is, do you look out the window or do you look in the mirror?
Sure. Come on.
Right?
Yeah.
Do I look out the window or do I look in the mirror? Seeing other people fail, do I point at them and laugh? Right? It reminds me of the man in the arena. Right? All the people who are on the sideline pointing at the man who is marred with blood, sweat, and tears, the people who are out there trying to build a better world. And sometimes they're going to come off as arrogant, or they might come off as a jerk or miss the mark of their message, yet they're in there trying.
Yep.
Right? They're trying to do that thing. And this, I think, brings up a lot of what this Jake Paul picture has, which, I don't know, Ben, do you know how to put the picture up? All right, is it up right now?
Dude, Ben's that guy, bro.
Ben's being that guy.
Ben's that guy, bro.
So I wanted to share this picture with the audience, because it's funny, when we talked about the Adulterous Woman that day, literally like a day later I saw this picture.
Okay.
All right, and so I actually do you remember what the picture was?
Can you show it to me?
Like this one of all the so for those of you who are watching this episode, right, we have this picture up of our boy Jake Paul here after.
Dude, must be nice with that cash, bro. I'll tell you.
Right, I think he made like $90+ million.
For getting his bra joking, right?
Yeah,
bra joking.
His bra joking.
Sorry,
he did. He got his bra joking, right? He did. He got his jaw broken, right? And by Anthony Joshua, who was an absolute machine.
Oh, an animal.
An animal, dude. And so I saw this picture and I was like, whoa, there's some attitude in this picture. And keep in mind, I saw this like right after this story, right?
Yeah.
You share it with me. And so when I saw this picture, it was actually on a Instagram account, and the comments on this picture were so negative. It was so judgmental. There was
Give me some examples if you have any.
Is this what being a man in today's world looks like? Is this what success is? And I was looking through this and I'm like, well, right, the age-old question, how do you define success?
Yep.
If I look at that picture and I'm like, what is financial success? I'm like, he's got, probably north of $1 million
on the floor,
just laying around on the floor. He has gold-plated guns, which I didn't even know you could get those on planes. Maybe it's a private, right? Obviously, I'm assuming it's a private jet. Right? Like, there is so much stimulation and questions going on in that picture. And so I looked at it and I'm like, man, the comments on this are so negative. Like, there's not one person who's like, good for Jake Paul for helping growing the sport of boxing.
Dude, yeah.
Right? Like, I was looking at this and I'm like, this reminds me of the Adulterous Woman, where everybody sees something, or they see a post. They see this woman who is being being unfaithful, and they immediately start to judge, and they immediately start to point. Now, I don't know much about Jake Paul, yet I bet there's probably some good things that he's done in his life.
Sure.
I bet you there's some contributions he's made to society that are good for the world that we can maybe collectively agree is a good thing. Like, I know he's done a ton for the sport of boxing, and being a guy who now loves boxing and boxes, I freaking love that. I love watching these boxing matches and
Yeah.
seeing these people who might not have gotten those opportunities to make a huge financial gain and support their family. Now they have that opportunity. Right? Jake Paul's been a pioneer of that.
No, I agree. I never watched boxing at all until he fought Mike Tyson, right?
Fought Mike Tyson.
Yeah, I didn't watch it all until then, and their fight was just fine. The fights before, those girls, crazy. Off the chain. I never watched ever until then. I was like, dude, these girls are awesome.
These girls are awesome.
They're sick.
Right? So like,
they're going nuts.
Nobody's talking about that.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
We're just throwing stones, pun intended, with the adulterous woman.
Yeah, honestly.
We're launching stones at him, and it's like, I get it, right? Jake Paul is incredibly good at getting your attention.
Yes.
Right?
He's an entertainer.
He's an entertainer. He's a marketer. He is literally a living hook.
Yes.
On an Instagram post, right? You look at him and you look at, oh my God, he's smoking. He has gold-plated guns, money, a private jet, designer bags. Like, it is literally the highest amounts of stimulation you could possibly jam into one piece of content.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's the point. Now, the other thing, though, is who cares what Jake Paul is doing? Like, it's your life, right? Like, let Jake Paul do what he needs to do.
Yeah.
Right? To fulfill his cup.
Yeah.
Yet, what he does only affects me if I allow it to affect me. Right? I have to let that into my awareness and then start to build a story around it. When I saw that picture, I was like, cool. And then I was like, that was it. And then I looked at the comments and I'm like, wow, there's a lot of stuff going on here. Now, I don't want to sound like a hypocrite right now where I'm like, oh, like, look at all this stuff with Jake Paul. How am I letting it affect me? I'm trying to learn from this.
Okay.
Right? I'm not saying this is a bad thing. I'm not saying this is a good thing. What I am saying is, I'm trying to allow people to be curious with the things that they decide to consume, right? We don't know the challenges Jake Paul has gone through. In all honesty, I think watching a young man go from a YouTube content creator into a multi-global phenomenon in entertainment, it's a hell of a journey.
It wasn't bro in Disney, like Disney Channel TV shows, and now he's boxing Mike Tyson.
Right? Now he's boxing Mike Tyson. He's putting out some of the heaviest pieces of stimulating content to humanly possible. It's like can we respect the journey of this guy? And I understand, like, yes, right, on the surface there might be a lot of stuff going on, yet there's more, right? There's more to every person,
Always,
right?
always.
Like, kind of what you were talking about with your buddy Greg, right? Allowing us to be like, Jake Paul, are you okay?
Yes.
Right? What's going on in your life that you might not want to share? Like, I don't know if you would honestly share that stuff with us.
Yes.
Right? But I think there is something to not looking at people on the surface as that's who they are, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you're Sam, you're a youth pastor. It's like there's probably a whole lineage of things that have built Sam into this person.
That's the thing. We have taken celebrities and we have taken their label, and that is all we look at.
Yeah.
But like, without the label, he's still Jake. Without me being a youth pastor, I'm still Sam. Without be that guy, you're still DJ. Yeah. You know what I mean? And like, why? Yes, is that picture polarizing? Sure. Am I jealous of all the stacks of money and gold-plated weapons? Maybe. You know. But just kidding.
It makes you think,
right?
It makes
but it's
you
like
think.
at the end of the day, like, that's just a dude, and his plane, lots of money, but he's still just a guy who still is. You know, he might not be insecure, but he has some kind of insecurity somewhere probably. I'm a guy, so I would know. You know what I mean? He's still a guy. He still stubs his toe. You know, he still trips and falls. He still throws up, gets a bellyache. That's what I love about, like, Jesus is. Yes, like, he's, you know, God and all that, but like, he's still, like, when he was a baby, pooped his pants. He still got stung by a bee. He probably got the flu. He probably tripped and fell.
Jesus pooped his pants?
I'm sure. I mean, he was a baby, so I'm assuming. Right? Right? I mean, I would assume.
That's awesome.
Come on, I know. You know what I mean?
See, that makes me like him even more.
Yes.
He's more relatable.
Like, yes, it makes him relatable. Not to, like, make him so common or, like, that he's not God or he's still God or whatever, but, like, still, like, he was a full, like, person, kind of going back to Sonder. It's like, as vivid as you and I are experiencing this moment right here. And Ben, right? So sorry. Heck yeah, Ben. Benjamin? Come on, Benjamin.
Name.
I like it. Yeah, I love a good government name. Like Samuel, you know?
Samuel.
Yeah. What's yours?
My government name is Dustin.
Dustin, you know? Come on. So, like, us three in this room, like, you know, we have the way that we're experiencing, like, this space right here. It's the same way that, like, Jesus experienced everything, obviously, like, including death on a cross. But, like, literally, there are so many years of Jesus' life that we don't know anything about. And he was just, like, a homeboy helping his dad in, like, a wood shop. You know what I mean? Like, he was still just doing his thing, being a guy. I'm sure he was laughing with his buddies and his friends. He had best friends. He probably played some kind of sport of some sort back, 2,000 years ago, whatever. But like same thing for Jake Paul. It's like, yes, he has all this money or this plane or he boxes on Netflix or whatever. But at the end of the day, strip everything away. He's still just Jacob, or whatever his government name is.
Whatever his government. I think one of the things, so I actually wrote an email about that picture, trying to help people just understand that it's our choice what we want to consume.
Correct.
Right? Like, social media is not the problem. Your consumption of social media is the problem. Right?
It is. Our perception.
I am totally okay with social media now because I spend less than 15 minutes a day on it. It has very little influence on me. And I try to let it, well...
Do you have the little timer?
I have the timer, 15-minute thing. And it does influence me a little bit because of Be That Guy, in all honesty. I have to, I think it's important to keep up with content.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Right? And in all honesty, if a piece does really good engagement, 100%, I feel like I'm the freaking man. If a piece does really bad, I'm like, I need to change. I need to do better.
Sure.
Now, it's a quick adjustment. It's not a week of judgment of I'm a horrible content creator.
Yeah.
Right? It's okay, got it. I see what didn't work there. Let's test this one.
Yeah.
Right? And allowing ourselves to still be happy and still enjoy the journey.
Come on.
Instead of just thinking we know everything about everybody else when really we haven't taken the time to actually look at our own lives.
Yeah. It's like you watch any sports team, big league or little league, it's like, you have a bad game. The bad game does not make you a bad team. You just need to look at your team and figure out what needs to be adjusted just a little bit. Even if it's just a mindset. That's why I love Ted Lasso. You watch Ted Lasso?
Oh yeah, Ted Lasso is phenomenal.
It's
Everybody
awesome.
should watch Ted Lasso.
I agree.
Everybody should watch
1,000%.
Ted Lasso.
It's very good.
Yes.
And
talk about not putting stories on things, not judging people.
Yes,
so
literally
good.
Ted Lasso.
So
yes,
good. Yes.
And for them, it's like that they learned how to play as a team better and plays and like the practicality of playing soccer. But like the big thing he did when he came in to coach that team was literally just change their mindset. And that's what took him as far as it took him. And sometimes it's as simple as that. Just like all it takes is a little bit of a shift of mindset, not necessarily like, hey, you're kicking the ball wrong. You just need to calm down.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably not awesome, but something I've needed to hear it. But I've sometimes talking to people. I was talking to an intern under an organization like 2 weeks ago, and she was asking me questions, and it ended with I said, long story short, with all this, I get why you're asking these questions, and I think you're right in this. That's very wise for you to do, and this is wise for you to think. But at the end of the day, you should take a deep breath and calm down. It's not that serious. Just calm down. We have you have a bad engagement on a post. It might be something might be wrong. You need to shift, or it's just it didn't go well, and that's fine. Just calm down and post something else later. You know what I mean?
It's the story, right? It's the story could be, hey, I'm a bad content creator, or the story could be, I'm in the arena letting it rip.
Come on. Yeah.
Same event.
Dude.
Right?
Yes.
I bet you there's thousands, probably millions of people who want to post content, yet they're so afraid about the judgment. They're so afraid about their neighbors saying, oh, did you see Kelly posting about how good her cooking skills are?
Yeah.
And it's
yeah.
Screw Kelly. Let it freaking rip.
Dude, get her out of here, bro.
Let it rip. If Kelly had any respect for you and she was your friend, she would say, hey, Susie, I love that you posted that cooking stuff. I'm going to be with you through all the highs and the lows. That's what a friend sounds like.
Yes.
Right? It's probably exposing Kelly, and I don't mean to get into the Kelly Susie thing, but I mean that's the live example of it, right? We're so afraid of the judgment of others, and when you start to get that judgment back, all it does is give you the signals of who's on my team and who's not on my team.
Yeah.
Right. In the beginning, when I started posting stuff, I literally remember the first couple pieces of content I put out were just horrific. As awkward and as cringy as could possibly do, and I still probably have cringy shit that I put out today. Right. I'm learning along the way. I can't tell you how many people were like, dude, keep going, let it rip.
Yeah.
And I was like, God, thank you guys so much. It literally got me emotional, and I was like, I'm sitting there and literally just waiting to hit the send button. I'm like, this is going to be weird.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know if this is going to land the way I think it is. And then you send it, and 2 days later, at some random bar, you and your buddy get a vodka soda, and he's like, by the way, dude, that piece of video you made, that was good. And
yeah, dude.
Oh, my God,
dude,
thank you, man.
Zootopia? You ever watched Zootopia?
I watched it in... Was it Zootopia? I think I watched it in college.
Okay.
It was literally a college class on movies.
Okay.
And the movies were freaking weird. I don't know why we had to watch those movies, but I'm pretty sure Zootopia was one of. I actually liked that one.
Zootopia 1 and 2. Not that Disney needs a plug, but
that's the next sponsor.
The next sponsor is Disney. Zootopia 1 and 2 is legitimately some of the best work Disney has ever done. And in the first one, we see this little rabbit, and she wants to be like a cop.
Yeah, I remember her.
Big old city.
Yeah.
And basically, she sees all these cops who were like best of the best, and she wants to be like them, but she's a little rabbit. And so we see this whole montage of her like not doing well, and she's being made fun of, and they're like, "Hey, you should just quit, throw in the towel or whatever." But she's like, "No, I'm gonna be a cop. I'm gonna do it." And then in the montage, Shakira's singing or whatever the song is.
Shakira is in it?
Sings, Shakira, she plays a gazelle, doesn't she?
Ah, Shakira's hot. Shakira's awesome, dude.
She's like 50.
I don't care, dude. Her hips don't lie, man. Dude, Shakira, her song, dude. The hips don't lie, dude. Sorry, I didn't mean to derail that.
No, you're good. But Shakira, she sings like I think for both movies, like a main song. Mm-hmm. And in that montage, eventually, the rabbit figures out her niche and turns it around, and she becomes a cop because she finishes through like police school or whatever, and she's crushing it. And it's like she was looking at those who were way ahead of her, and like her instructors, and being like, "I'm not gonna be as good as them." It's like, of course you're not. You just started school. Calm down and just go to work. And once she like figures that out, she becomes a cop, and she's the best. And she gets, in a partnership with a freaking fox, and they solve crimes, dude. Come on.
I think every super successful person, if we want to like define success as financial status, power, whatever it may be, went through 99% of failure in judgment and self-doubt, and then one thing clicked, and then they got good at that and continually repeated that.
Yes.
And then along that journey, more things started to fail. And, right. I think when it comes to success, we actually, I think if you think about success as like this watermelon, the outside shell is success, but the inside is all failure. I just randomly kind of thought of that in my head, right? You have to, the majority of success is actually failures and judgment and self-doubt.
Yeah.
And is this going to work out the way I think it is? Oh my God, it didn't. All right, adjust and handle the heat if you get any heat. And by the way, typically in the beginning, nobody's even watching anyways. And throughout the whole thing, nobody really cares. Right? People care about themselves. They care about their own lives. And occasionally you might get some of that back, yet it's because you triggered something in their own life. And then it's a very temporary piece of negative feedback. And then you get back on the horse and you keep going. Right? I want to take a little shift here for the last 10 minutes or so that we got. I want to talk about guys, and I want to talk about fear and love.
Dude, the fellas. Man, let's do it.
The fellas, the homies. Let's start with fear. What do you think deep down, guys? So let's talk about us, right? You're in your 20s. I just turned 30. The guys in their 20s.
Okay, bro, my bad, dude.
right? Guys in their 20s. What is the thing that they are deathly afraid of?
Oh man, I think just looking weak. At least for me, I mean, what dude doesn't want to look strong? Obviously, physically, but just emotionally, from a knowledge standpoint. I want to look strong and put together. And I think I assume that sometimes vulnerability comes off as weakness. And I think we all know of oh no, the strongest thing a guy can do is be emotional and be in touch with his emotions and share his heart. But low key though, girls love a guy who's strong and a guy who is very mature and on the straight and narrow and all that. But girls do love a guy who's vulnerable. My girlfriend loves when I just start fighting demons right in front of her and start just sharing, whatever I'm going through. She loves it.
What a strong woman to handle that.
She's a strong woman. But literally, it's just I think dudes they're just so afraid to be vulnerable because that vulnerability comes off as weakness, and nobody wants to be viewed as weak, let alone a guy. And I don't really know why. I don't know why. I've thought about it very often of where does that come from? And I don't know if it's just culture or a stigma or whatever. But for me, it's I wanna my biggest fear is just to be viewed as weak, worthless, behind. Maybe the overarching umbrella would be like small. No dude wants to feel small. Not saying big means you're like, and just like over everybody else, but I don't want to just be viewed as like weak. That's my biggest fear. What about you? What's your biggest fear?
I think you're right. I think it's the weakness piece. Yet, as you were talking about it, and you said, I don't know exactly where it comes from. I think I have a inclination of where I think it comes from. I think it comes from self-acceptance.
Okay. Yeah.
I think it comes from accepting who you are and that comfort and security you have within yourself, to where no matter what I say, I'm good.
Yeah.
No matter what people perceive about me, I have conditioned my mind to accept me for all the flaws, the insecurities, and the demons that I have. Because then at that point, I could say, Sam, hey, I've struggled over the last year, right? Like I'm trying to, and in all honesty, like 2025 was a hell of a freaking year, and I've shared it publicly. Like it was a lot of downs and occasionally some ups, and it tested me in ways I'd never been tested before.
Yeah.
Yet I can 100% say, from age 21 to 28, 29, for the last 8 to 9 years of my life, I've worked so hard to be okay with what I see in the mirror.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I would agree. I think I would agree. You've heard, I'm sure, like perception is reality. And it's like good to know, because perception, I guess, in some regard matters. But like, it's a slippery slope, in my opinion, because with the saying of like perception is reality, we assume that like if somebody perceives me a certain way, that just must be the truth. And so I get so caught up in people's perception of me.
And there's the story, right? You're believing that story. It's that choice to believe it, right?
And because I'm so wrapped up in this perception of me, it just like snowballs into insecurity, doubt, feeling small, and when it's really not, it's just a perception. And yes, perception matters, but also it's like, goes back to Sonder. I am my own person. I'm experiencing this moment differently, maybe close to the same as you, but at some level differently than you're perceiving this moment. And I just need to care less about, I mean, it goes back to everything for me, honestly, goes back to Jesus. At the end of the day, I'm responsible for my posture before him, nobody else. Not one person. Not you, not sweet Benjamin over there, not my parents, not anybody, not whoever my future spouse is, if the Lord has marriage for me, none of that. I'm responsible for my posture before the Lord. What he thinks about me at base level is all that matters. Yes, I want to be perceived well, especially as like a leader in a church. I don't want to just be doing my own thing, being like, hey, pastors don't typically do that. Why are you doing that? You know what I mean? But like at the end of the day, when you really boil all the way down to just like bare minimum, it like the only person whose perception matters of me is Christ's. And so I can take that as a comfort of like, yes, I want you, DJ, to perceive me well, but like your perception of me does not define me because Christ defines me. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
And I think Christ is always watching.
Always. Oh, bro.
Right? Like, I feel like that could be a whole separate podcast type of thing.
It's a whole thing.
I think, too, a lot of what we talk about with whether it's self-image, self-acceptance, I think it is built in the shadows.
Sure.
It's built when nobody is there to tell you to get up at 5 a.m. It's built when you decide to stay a Saturday and a Sunday a little bit extra to work with some of these young men and women who might be struggling with some stuff, yet you're not getting paid for it.
Yeah.
It's built in those moments when, and this is how I define discipline, right? The easy choice is readily available and the hard choice is readily available. It's on you. Yeah. Nobody's going to say, hey, you could have 1,000 people saying, take the disciplined choice, do the hard thing. I can't force you into that choice. You have to make that choice.
Yes.
And I think that's where self-respect is built, self-image, self-belief, self-acceptance. And that's where I think a lot of young men today are struggling because we've built a world of comfort for these young men. And now we're saying, hey, be disciplined. They're like, well, why? Right? What's the point? Right? And then we haven't fully articulated the value of making the disciplined decisions, and then we can have a conversation about the disciplined decisions. And it's like, I accept myself now. Well, why is that important? Because nobody can ever beat me. Ever again. Because I've already conquered myself.
Yeah.
And I bet you, I believe that right now. And in a month, a year, 5 years, I'm going to be like, oh, now I've conquered myself.
Yeah.
Right? There's tons of things I don't know. There's tons of things I'm not good at.
Yes.
There's tons of things I'm still working on.
Oh, yeah.
Yet in this moment right now, I'm pretty solid with who I am.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm pretty comfortable with it.
Because you put the work there.
Because you put that work in.
Same thing, go back to Jake Paul. Any celebrity, anybody you would view as successful is like, yes, we see up front Jake Paul with his guns and his money and his jet. But like there were things he did when nobody was watching that got him to where he is. Same for you. For 2025, a lot of lows, couple highs, whatever. It's like you grinded a lot when nobody was watching, nobody paid attention, cameras and mics weren't on, but you did your thing, and now here you are, and you're feeling as successful as ever. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
I like that. Now I want to shift to love, and I want to let's
the L word.
The L word, right?
Come on.
This would be the last thing I want to talk about because I want to wrap it up in the next couple minutes or so. So what do you guys really love?
Video games, man.
Dude, don't get me going on the video games right now.
I told you, Call of Duty off rip, dude. I told you. I'd be laying it down those mics,
Arc Raiders, dude. I'm learning about that game too.
Dude, do you play Arc Raiders?
No, I don't. But some of the young men in our group, shout out Jeremy, right? My homie Jeremy.
Come on, Jeremy.
Dude, he's always talking about Arc Raiders, and I'm like, you know what you should do? You should see how far you can throw that game console out the window. Jeremy got a good laugh out of that one.
Jeremy, don't listen to him. Let's play Arc Raiders. Message me, brother. I'm looking for a trio.
I'm gonna send this to Jeremy
Send
after.
it to Jeremy, dude. Dude, Arc Raiders. It's a great game.
He's taught me about it, and he's like, you should get a Be That Guy account. I'm like, no.
I promise you, dude. I'm just think about it. Just think about it.
Well, he's explained it to me, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe one of the problems is it's like community building, right? So you get your boys playing, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm a big proponent of getting in the arena, right? Getting out into the world.
Yeah.
So it's technically bringing guys together, but with a screen in between.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I get it, and not before we get all the heat about me hating all the video games in the world, I'm okay with video games. I'm completely fine with them. Just don't make them a 10-hour priority in your day.
Yes.
All right.
Correct.
Play them when you want to, right? I watch Netflix, right? I watch Tell Me Lies. Have you ever watched that show?
No.
Don't watch it. It is so much anxiety. It bothers me. Is it triggering?
Is it like reality?
It's like Jake Paul in a movie for
60
60 minutes.
Okay.
But it's a show.
A reality TV show or like a
No,
scripted?
it's just like a Euphoria type of thing.
Tell Me Lies.
Tell Me Lies.
Okay.
Holy cow. All right, but back to this.
Love,
right?
dude.
Right?
Dudes love.
Love.
I know because I love love. And it's not like I want people to like just adore me and just like, oh, Sam Kiefer, he's just the best. But it's like I know me better than anybody else knows me. You know what I mean? Good, bad, and ugly. And I know what it takes to love me. And I know at times I can be a lot, or I can be frustrating, or I can be whatever. But it's like I know like what love I require and what grace I require from people and what patience I require from people. So when people offer that to me and they're like, people just truly like, they just love me, like the way my mom, my dad love me. My favorite thing about my parents is that they love me, because they love me better than anyone, different than anyone. But like they know the good, bad, and the ugly, and they love me regardless. Favorite thing about the Lord is that He loves me because He knows me better than anybody. He loves me the most. Favorite thing about you is that you've heard some of my dirt. You've seen some of those skeletons at the fountain at Hyde Park. You've heard it, but like you love me. You know, favorite thing. And it's not like 'cause I just want to be loved and I just want a huge circle of people, but it's like people. It's not just like want. Yes, people want love, but people need love. Need it. It's a need. Like that's like as much as food and oxygen and water is a need. I believe feeling love is a need for a human being. And so for me, like when people love me, truly love me, not just like a superficial, like you're so cool, I want to be your friend, but like, hey, I know all your crap and I love you still. I love you actually more because I know your crap and I want to love you through it. That love is my favorite thing to feel from people. Does that make sense? So for me, that's what I love as a dude.
I think it's funny when you were walking me through that. I was like, love. And like, it isn't like, what do guys truly love? They love love.
They love respect. They love
respect, right?
They love it all.
And it is, I think the easiest way to describe this in a story is, I actually heard Andrew Tate say this, ironically.
All right, come on.
When he said it, I was like, he's right. And I heard a lot of people say this. Men who are super successful, have a lot of power, a lot of status. I've heard all of them say this in different regards. They have said some of the greatest moments of their lives, the moments that gave them the most joy, the most love, the most happiness, was when they were just chilling with their buddies.
Yeah.
Just with their friends.
Yep.
They weren't in Cabo. They weren't in a villa in L.A. They weren't buying Lamborghinis. They were just like sitting in like a house, just kicking it, just hanging out. And I think it is a form of love for men.
Yeah.
Right. I want to have really good dudes around me who I can just be as messed up as humanly possible with. Right. And I want them to know all of the really good things about me, and I want them to know all the things I've struggled with.
Yeah.
I want them to know the girl who cheated on me my sophomore year of high school and broke my heart, and I thought that was the end of my life. And then I said, oh, I'm getting back out there, and then I figured out a lot of things. Then like they saw the demise and rise of all the good, all the bad. Those are the homies that I want.
Yeah, dude.
And that to me is love.
Yeah. I have buddies who have seen me being shameful, bro. Shameful, bro. But they love me so much. And at times, they love me enough to, like, call me out on my crap, you know, and keep it a buck. Like, hey, bro, what are you doing? You got to cut that out. And, of course, the moment it sucks.
Yeah.
But, like, looking back, it's like, man, they loved me enough to say something. They could have just said nothing and let me do my thing, and that's that. But it's like, not only do they feel love, they choose to love me, you know?
Choose to love you.
And I mean, like we see in Scripture, one of the first pages in the Bible is like God creates like man and woman. He makes man first, and then he later makes woman because the man is lonely. And we see that because of that, it's like community is not optional. We need community. People thrive with people. Being alone is not a good thing. You can be like, I'm introverted. I love being alone. I love playing video games by myself. I love playing guitar by myself. I love sitting and doing nothing by myself. But I can only be by myself for so long before I need somebody. It's not good for you just to be alone, especially when you're down. It's like, I get it. I get down. I need a moment to myself. But like, I need to be in community because you need it. You need love. And that's why I said you need it.
Yep.
Guys and girls, they need it.
I think that is a secret to life is the integration of alone time and together time.
Yes.
Right.
And it's sometimes a hard thing to balance.
Oh, yeah. I was actually just talking to one of my good buddies last weekend about this, where I said sometimes I get so interested in alone time because it is less effort, right? If I can just sit in my house on a Friday and just really, right, go for a walk, right, enjoy my own presence, right, think about things, there's really not a lot of effort required. If I want to hang out with the boys, I got to text, call, hey, what are we doing? Are we going somewhere? There's more friction. There's more effort. So I actually brought it up to him, like, do you ever judge yourself where you're not being more deliberate with connecting with your buddies?
Yeah, okay.
And spending some time with them, right? And he was like, dude, I totally judge myself a lot with that. So, like, that's one of the things that I want to try to just be aware of. And like plan more things where it's like, dude, let's just go for a walk together. Let's just go to the fountain, or let's go kayak, right? Just do something to where we could spend some time and share how we're doing in our lives, what's good, what's bad, and have that connection, because it is that sense of love and brotherhood that, right, you think about like COVID completely took away, right?
Dude,
Right, you think about like solitary confinement of the worst prisoners in the world, right? They get that taken away. So it's like your human need, right, is that love and is that community, right? I'm so happy you said that. I'm really, really happy you said that, because that makes me think so much about love in my life and the good men that I do have, like you.
Thanks, man.
Let's end real quick. Tell everybody about NBCC.
NBCC, right. New Beginnings Christian Church, shameless plug. It is where I work, where I love, where I serve. We are here in South Tampa. My official title is Students and Connections Pastor. So most of my job is over next gen. So it's like graduated, high school, all the way down to like newborn. We have a children's director I oversee. But my job is just to like love on students and kids. And then the connections part is just to make sure people feel connected to the church. And it's so easy to go to church and then just go to church and then do nothing. But I like serving a church, being like, it adds that much more community, if you will. And yes, going is awesome. Having friends is awesome. But like having to hand out like a bulletin or a little piece of paper, or hold the door for somebody, or pass a plate, or whatever it might be. It is good to like, it's good to be on a team. You know, you Call of Duty, man. If you get in a squad with the fellas and you're playing as a team, and you're working well, you guys feel close, feel good, right? So doing that, like serving with people, working with people, is like a good thing. And so New Beginnings, we have services, 8:15 a.m. and 10:30 a.m. On Sundays. We have classes midweek on Wednesdays at 6. Come get a free meal. We'd love to feed you. Got pretty good food. I order tons of pizza as well for our students. If you want a slice of pizza, I get a slice of pizza. Feel free. But come hang out. We're just a church of people that our big thing is we want to be real people, which means people, like you don't have to have a mask. You don't have to have it all together. You don't have to perform. You don't have to do anything. Just come as you are, because that's all Jesus wants. He just wants you to come as you are, and we want you to do the same thing, because I am who I am, and I'm not perfect. I'm broken. I'm in need of Jesus. I'm in need of a Savior, just like literally everybody else. Just because I'm a pastor does not mean I've got it all figured out. You know, I'm still a work in progress. Happily a work in progress. You know, you can always grow, and I love growing. I love learning. That's why I love hanging out with you. You teach me a ton. I know you like glaze me, but but like you do teach me a ton, and I learn a lot from you. And even like we were at dinner with my parents a few months ago, and we were there late.
That was a hell of a night.
It was a great
like
night.
A 4 to 5 hour session.
It was a long time. And you were just sharing, and I was like learning and taking notes on my phone under the table as you were talking, just talking about how you grew up and how you came into who you are today, and how you started to be that guy and all that. And it's just like, you're wonderful. You're an inspiration. You're a great example of a man who, you are strong. You are masculine. You have authority, but you're not overbearing. You're not better than. You're still humble. He says, like, you know, in Christ, he's like gentle and he's lowly at heart. And so you exemplify Christ in many ways of being strong and able, but also gentle and meek and kind and loving. And it's very, very encouraging.
Well, thank you, Sam.
Yeah, brother.
I appreciate that, brother.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, it makes me think about the book you gave me.
Hey, come on.
Lowly
Have you
and
finished
gentle.
it?
Lowly and gentle.
Gentle and lowly.
You're
But great,
gentle and lowly,
dude,
right?
Shameless, dude, please. Yo, if you're anybody, but especially a dude, read Gentle and Lowly. God is good, God is powerful, and he's strong, and he's mighty, and all those things are wonderful, but he's also so soft and kind. And this is what this book is about, how he loves us, and how like it is his favorite thing to do is to love us. So check it out. Gentle and Lowly. Dane, I think. Dane Ortland. I think. But Gentle and Lowly, you'll find it. Green Book.
It was a green book. Well, yeah. Sam, I want to say thank you to you and your family. On a side note, the Kiefers, for helping me with my faith journey, and the initial fear or resistance I had of, holy cow, this God thing is a big thing.
Yeah,
like, what is this? And not only did your family, yet you, as I've said, you know, you guys made me feel very safe, and you guys made me feel really good. And I love it when Father Steve gets rolling and he goes, how many real people we got? And it's just like, hey, I'm real. I'm all messed up. Come on. Like, come help me out here, Father. Like, I need some help with these things. And that dinner was fantastic that we had a couple months ago. And we have dinner this week.
This Friday.
We got tri-tips, right? Supposedly, right? Anybody want to come, right? Right.
6:30, we'll be at the Keeper's house.
Right. So I think we got some steak on Friday for Father Steve's birthday, right?
Yeah, I think it is his. Friday is his birthday.
That's his actual birthday?
Yes.
All right, I'll have to get him something cool. But I want to say thank you to you, brother.
Be that guy T-shirt.
I should. Oh,
he would love it, dude.
See if I can rush order one.
I promise you, he would wear it.
I would hope he would wear it in a sermon.
Dude, he might, bro.
That would be sweet.
He might.
I will say this, Father Steve. I hope you watch this. You are my fashion role model. All right, and I believe your mom is the one who
dude,
puts
Michelle is the one, dude.
I will say Michelle knows what she's doing with the threads.
Cooks.
Every time Father Steve walks out, the first thing I do is I'm like, what's the outfit we got today?
No, 100% fresh to death.
So good. Like, I literally want to dress like you right now, and so good. So, Michelle, maybe if you want to become my stylist.
Mine too.
Dude,
I was flying, really quick, I'm so sorry, I know we're like running low on time. I was flying to Nashville for a wedding on Friday morning, and my mom picked me and my sister up from our house, take us to the airport, and my little brother got a haircut, and he looks great. He had like a long mullet, but now it's like super trendy and cool. It's like, Mom, this haircut's great. And she was like, yeah, I spent like a lot of time on Pinterest looking at like 2026 trends. So she does her research.
Love.
So it's natural, and she works hard for her trends. So Michelle Kiefer.
And there's the love that you talked about, right?
Yeah.
Like it comes in many different shapes and sizes, right? So, Sam, I appreciate you, bro. Thank you so much for coming here today, sharing the word, right?
Always,
right, intertwining it into all of the stuff that we talked about today, the fear, the love,
things.
the judgment, the stories, right? Being real people, being real men. Yeah. And I appreciate you, bro. You make me a better man. You inspire me. You've helped me in so many ways over the last year.
Likewise, bro.
And I love you, brother.
I love you too, man, so much. Anytime, dude. Seriously.
Love it, dude. Beautiful.
Next week at the fountain?
Next week
Anybody want to join?
We'll see you guys there. Beautiful.
Felt great.
That was awesome, bro.